So as an accountant, I get asked all the time, how do I pay my taxes as a business owner? So today, I'm gonna give you 3 simple steps to follow to make sure you're paying your business taxes correctly and on time. So let's start with this. So usually when I get asked, how do I pay my taxes as a business owner? We're usually talking about the income tax piece, right? I want to talk about all the different taxes you may be responsible for if you're a business owner. So first, there's payroll taxes. So if you have any employees you pay W-2s for, you gotta pay payroll tax, and there's certain rules to that. If you collect sales tax on goods you're selling, you're responsible for paying your sales tax on time. For some people or companies, there's use tax. That occurs when you get products tax exempt that you maybe intend to sell and collect sales tax on, but instead you end up using them in your business. You gotta pay what's called use tax on that. In some states, most states, there's personal property tax. This is an annual tax collected on all your personal property used in the business. So this is your computers, your machinery, your furniture, all the things. For some businesses that own property, real property like office buildings, warehouses, manufacturing sites, you're gonna be responsible for your real estate taxes. And then finally, some states have what's called excise tax, or you might also have franchise fees. So these are all different types of taxes that as a business owner, you need to find out if they pertain to you or not. So today, we are talking just about your business income tax, all right? So as a business owner, the income you make minus the expenses that you spend equals your net income. And your net income is taxable income to you as a business owner, all right? So that's what we're talking about today, and we're talking about how you pay taxes on that income on time and properly and correctly and all the things. So before we jump into our 3 steps, there's just a few more little things I want to chat with you guys about. So as a business owner, you should be making quarterly estimated tax payments, and we're going to talk about that in our 3 steps. Your ultimate goal when it comes time to file your taxes is to owe 0 money, or maybe even get a little bit back from the government. I don't think you ever want to file your return and owe money. I think it's a terrible feeling. I hate when it happens, and I would rather pay in a little bit extra and get some money back than ever have to owe a big chunk of money when I file my return. By making quarterly estimated payments that we'll talk about, you also avoid any penalties and interest that you guys can actually incur if you wait till April 15th to pay your taxes for the whole year. And finally, you guys, by making quarterly estimated payments, which is what we'll talk about today, you avoid having this big, huge bill like we talked about. Like, I'd rather get money back than owe money. But even if you owe $100, $200, a small amount, way better than owing this big, huge chunk of money because you're paying all of your income tax and your self-employment tax, we'll talk about that, in one payment. It's a lot easier, right, to bite it off in little chunks. So getting that year-end tax payment, again, I've been there, I've done that. It's so hard because a lot of times you don't have the cash anymore to pay it. A lot of times it's so big that you spend all of your cash paying it, and then you're not able to make this year's quarterly estimated payments, and so you end up in this cycle of kind of always being behind. So we don't want that. So if we start out on the right foot, when we're a business owner, paying those quarterly estimated taxes from the get-go, even when it's only a very small amount, we're setting ourselves up with good techniques, right? Good habits of doing this so that when we are making tons and tons of money, we've already handled the taxes, we've paid it, we're not having to fork out these big, huge chunks of cash. So step 1, you gotta know when your quarterly estimated tax payments are due, right? You gotta know when to pay them. So there's 4 quarterly, but I'm gonna share with you guys the dates because the IRS doesn't do quarterly, because for me, quarterly means like 4 equal parts, right? So I would think every 3 months in a 12-month year. No, the IRS just kind of arbitrarily picks some dates. So first quarter is good. First quarter is due April 15th. Second quarter, though, is due June 15th. Third quarter, September 15th. And your fourth quarter, technically not due till January 15th of the following year. I do recommend to my clients to pay it by December 31st, just so you have all of your 2019 expenses kind of sitting in one year. you don't have things floating, but you have until January 15th to make that fourth quarter estimated payment. So the next step 2, is now we got to determine how much we have to pay, right? We know when we have to pay. Now we need to know how much to pay. So there are a number of ways to calculate this, and we have a whole nother video that shares all of these methods with you. But what it comes down to, you guys, you can have a super rough estimate, okay, that takes very little time. You can have a super precise estimate that takes a lot of time, and then somewhere in between. All right, so we like to stay in the somewhere in between. But today, I'm talking about the easiest one. All right, so if you want the easiest route that has no math, no strong hard calculations, anything like that, then what you're gonna do is simply take 30% of your gross receipts, your gross revenue, all money in. I'm trying to think of what else gross receipts is called. Payments, anything, all the money that you receive in the quarter for services or goods that you rendered, okay, that's your gross revenue. And that's the number you're gonna use, and then you're just gonna take 30% of that number. So if you're making your April 15th payment, you're looking at January 1st to, I say, the end of the last month, so March 31st. I made $10,000 in that time. 30% of that, $3,000. So that's how much I want to hold and send, to my government taxing agencies. If you're in a state that collects income tax, you don't want to forget about them. So when you have this 30% bucket, all right, I suggest, if you don't know your state income tax bracket, you send somewhere between 3 and 5% to your state, and then the rest to the feds. If you know your state income tax bracket, Colorado, you're 4.65%. You can send in a more exact number, send the rest to the feds. If you're in a state with a higher income tax rate, then you're gonna wanna hold off more than 30%, because you wanna send at least 25% to your federal government, okay? So I'm talking to you, California, New York, sorry, but you wanna save more money because you're gonna have a lot more tax to pay. And if you're in one of the states that doesn't have state income tax, I think there's 9 of them, then you are going to just go ahead and send it all to the federal government, all right? Don't worry, you can pay less, you can save less, but I would say let's be safe. I'm always erring on the side of conservative, usually erring on the side of conservative, and say to send more is better than not to pay enough, right? Makes sense. So our third and final step is to make the payment. We know when to pay it now, we know how much to pay, now we need to actually send the money off. So the best way to do this, you guys, is electronically, okay? Especially in this time where the IRS is sometimes closed and mail is not getting there. Like, don't mail in a check, that's unnecessary. Get online and make your payment electronically. For your federal payments, you're just gonna go to irs.gov. There's a big make a payment button, use it, go make your payment. For your state income tax payment, go to your state's revenue site. So for Colorado, it's Colorado Revenue Online. Just Google it, state plus revenue department. It'll take you right to the website where you're gonna be able to make your state income tax payment. And make sure you print and save your payment confirmations, all right? The biggest benefit to being able to do this online is that it's instantaneous, you know the money got there, and you have a payment confirmation that says when you made the payment, how much you made it for, all the things, right? So save that, whether it's you print it out and put it in a file or you put it in a PDF folder on your hard drive, doesn't matter. Just make sure you save it because you're gonna need it for tax time. When tax time comes around, you guys, and you're filing your 1040 or you're giving all your information to your accountant, wink, wink, to file your tax return, make sure you give them those payment confirmations, okay? Because there is nothing more confusing or more, just like what the heck happened than when you make your quarterly estimated tax payments, you file your tax return and you still have money due. Well, that's because you forgot to account for your quarterly payments. So make sure those either get input into your 1040 return or you give those to your accountant to make sure they account for those payments, all right? Finally, you guys, after you actually file your tax return, if you're still owing money or maybe you're getting a huge refund back, you're gonna wanna think about adjusting your quarterly estimated tax payments for the following year. So that is where an accountant really comes in handy because we can help you sit down and say, okay, the reason you underpaid was because of this, or the reason you paid so much extra is because of that. or this upcoming year you're planning to make a lot more money, so we want to make adjustments. A good CPA or a good accountant is going to help you maneuver those business changes that are constantly happening in your business. If you guys have any questions about what we talked about today, go ahead and leave a comment below, and then I highly suggest you head on over to our Facebook community, Money, Taxes, and Finance for Small Business, because these topics are what we talk about on a regular basis and have live trainings on every week. You can access that group by clicking the link in the description box. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and while you're loving on me hard, go ahead and hit the notification bell so you never miss a future video.